go. I do believe we are live. So I'll say, indeed. And greetings unto you, beloved and holy friend. Thank you for taking the time to be here in the right now alongside me. Today's stream talk is about how there is a curse to understanding. Specifically, the curse to understanding in my mind is the inability to get away with things, right? Where I feel we find ourselves in a time in history where, or at least over the last, let's say, 100 years, we have found ourselves in a time of history where we didn't know the implications of some of the things we were doing, some of the chemicals we were using, some of the pollutants we were producing, etc., right? And from that perspective, there's a certain level of letting ourselves, letting humanity off the hook, like a child, right? Like you don't blame a child for being a child and making childish mistakes. So from that perspective, right? However, now with our current sciences and our current data and our current understanding of how our actions impact our climate, our earth, one another, we have reached a level of understanding that can be a little bit heavy, right? Like a curse. Can be a little bit of an added responsibility because as soon as you understand, you lose the ability of plausible deniability, right? You lose the ability to kind of like throw your hands up and claim innocence or ignorance. As soon as you understand, you have to do something. You know what is the right thing to do. You know better, right? And that's kind of the direction I want to steer today's conversation in. Do we know better? Right? During the yoga, I came to the conclusion that maybe the better we are supposed to know is nature. We can watch nature and do things a lot better than we are doing them right now. It is a blessing. I'll understand you. You freaking better. You better understand me like that. I've been thinking about you as of late, bro. It's nice having you. We have Sam here too. Understanding is obligation to respond, and I religiously avoid obligation. I've noticed, Sam, I've noticed. I don't actually think so, though. I don't think understanding is necessarily obligation to respond. I think, I think maybe better be would be understanding is responsibility, right? That as soon as you understand, you have a responsibility to respond in a certain way or another, right? For instance, if we understand actively burning fossil fuels is bad for our planet, then we have the responsibility to do something, to respond, right? Obligation sounds again like force. When for me at least, the point shouldn't be to see it as something forced upon us, but something that we take responsibility for, Sam, right? Oh, I understand. My actions have hurt the ones I love. Now it is my responsibility to apologize to them and to make right these mistakes, right? Not, oh, now I'm obligated to apologize to them, right? You see the energy? The one is, the other is, oh, yeah, I'm gonna responsibilities. So, yeah, I love you, Sam. I know you have so much potential. I'm trying to slowly but surely capitalisms you just a little bit. Socialisms, actually. I want to socialisms you. You know, I am kind of playing the game of capitalism a little bit, and I'm not doing it because I want to, but because that's kind of the game I'm playing, right? I can't just eject the disc and start playing another game. We find ourselves in the capitalism game, working on a broken, like living in a broken world, participating in a broken world while working to fix it, right, Sam? However, however, I do believe that there's a certain level of value that has been generated, you know, and I'm saying value very precariously because that same value that has been generated can also be articulated as that value wasn't generated, well, that value was stolen from the earth. And you understand that now. We understand that now. Now we have a responsibility to be better, I guess, slowly but surely. Irresponsibility. What's that? Responsibilities? Not quite yet. Responsibility. What that? I think you're maybe like sending a voice text again. I don't want to think about it. We'd be better off without it. Oh, it's a song. MXPX. I don't know who that person is, but bless them. Yeah, responsibility. I do take responsibility very seriously, right? Like for instance, to give you an idea where my state of mind occupies, and we can like I feel like Sam beautifully steered us in a direction here, to kind of like create contrast because that's not only for like, and the reason I'm kind of like riffing with Sam is because I think that way as well, right? I also avoid obligation like the plague, right? If you tell me I am now obligated to such and such, I'm suddenly not so stoked about such and suching at all, actually, right? So from that perspective of responsibility versus obligation, I was going in a certain direction, but I seem to have lost it along the way. C'est la vie, I guess. Right, Sam? No longer will it be said that the fathers have eaten sour grapes and the children's teeth are set on the edge. While we are contributing to the environmental danger, we didn't start the fire. Yeah, we didn't start the fire, but we still have a responsibility. I was gonna, oh yeah, that was the direction I was going in, right? Like, to give you an idea of where I'm coming from. My sister got a bunch of new plants, right? Like I have a bunch of small little pots that I use to germinate my plants in. The first time I ever started germinating plants, I had to ask my mom to get me some pots, right? Now there's so many of them completely empty, right? So I can use them. That it's kind of like staggering. And the reason there's so many of those empty pots is because the plants that used to live in them are dead. And now my sister got like a whole pallet, like an actual whole pallet of new plants, strawberries and different berries and a new lavender and a rosemary plant and such and so and right. And I'm seeing this, right, this whole fractal kind of unfolding in front of me. And again, we can think of it from the perspective of understanding. Like she understands that plants need to get water and need to be in the ground, right, in order to thrive. She understands that. But if we're going to draw lines as an obligation and responsibility, I believe being a person who likes taking care of plants, right, I find a lot of joy and soul fulfillment in taking care of plants. That they're alive, that they're creatures, right? That they're friends in another articulation. They're my little friends, right? And I'm trying to ensure that they have the best environment that they can be in, and I can give them all they need so they can thrive. And in this mutual friendship relationship, they'll give something back to me as well in turn, for all of the hard work I've put in. And those plants have been standing there for close to a week now, right? Around close to a week now. They've just been standing there. And I'm watering them. I'm the one now watering them because they need to be watered. And if nobody waters them, they'll be dead as well. So I walk up to my sister's room and I go, Sister, can you ask a leaf type Lanky's plant? Sister, can you please plant those plants, please? And she's like, yeah, I'm gonna plant those plants in the garden, in the greenhouse or the shaded garden. I'm like, yeah, good, do that. And she's like, guess I'll keep thinking about it a little bit, right? So in that fractal, there are two lines that can like open up. One is she now has this sense of obligation. Maybe I even generated that sense of obligation. Hey, you decided to buy plants. Technically, you didn't decide to buy. You asked my mom or asked my dad to buy you plants, right? So money has been spent. Now you have this responsibility to take care of these plants, and you need to take that responsibility. It's yours. It's yours to take. Take it. Proud. Me. I'll be responsible for these plants. Or you can be, oh, now I'm obligated. Now I have to water these plants, and I have to make sure there's no pests eating my fruits. Oh, woes. I'm so woeing right now, right? And depending on what you believe, depending on how you see this understanding of, oh, yes, plants need to be in the ground, plants need water, plants need sunlight, plants need nutrients, right? You understand these things, and you have that responsibility to take care of them. I want to see this palette of plants, please. I mean, when I said palette of plants, it sounds a little bit absurd or excessive, but I'll show you, dude. I'll show you. Come with me. Let me turn this off quickly. Mr. Bombastic. Hey, Luke. Bless you, dear friend. Shady is what I see. Oh, your name, your username. Duck, I do too. Am I missing something? Shady is what I see when I. Oh, the Mr. Bombastic. Mr. Macaristic. I mean, it is kind of like Mr. Bombastic. Here they are. All right, that's like a pallet, surely. Surely that's like a pallet worth of plants. All right, and then you're standing here. You're standing here. This rosemary smells nice. Has like small little flowers growing on it. I should probably eat some of one of these. Mm. Mm. A little lavender. Look at these. They're like pine berries. Pepe, don't hurt the plants. So yeah, every single time I pass them and I see them plants just standing there, it makes me want to create urgency. It makes me want to illuminate responsibility. Make me want to take responsibility from other people who are not willing to take the responsibility themselves. And don't know if that's the right way to do it either, so I'll try and use my words. Man, that rosemary flower is... I know about it. They look nice and healthy, but rosemary needs to be given a haircut or a milk munch. Yeah, a little bit. They do like actually being pruned back a little bit. Gives them a new lease on life. But yeah, bro, I guess you understand that fractal as well a little bit, man. Melanie is probably also gonna want plants one day. And after you've bought them, you're gonna stand outside, bro. Waiting to feel the life of the earth, the life of dirt. I can't wait to see if those make pine berries. It's such a big scam here in the States. If they're ground from a sister plant, they will be true. But from seed, it's possible with the genetics. I don't know at all, bro. I wasn't there for them buying those plants. They just kind of brought them back home. Looks cool. Would be cool if we can have a little fruit like that. I probably won't be here to see it, unfortunately. Love is true. Thank you, friends, for joining me. Today's stream topic is very much about understanding. I understand. I want to understand. I try to understand my plants. And my relationship with the earth as someone who can take care of her. There's so much out there. Okay, love is true. I have some strawberry runs in this little evaporizer of mine. Honey-esque. Imagine if there was strawberry flavored honey. Honey flavored strawberries, maybe. The honey is definitely a little bit more forward. Duck Dad. Oh no, dude, don't tell me, bro. Bro, I'm worse than your sister. My plants get watered very intermittently. It makes them strong. I tell them to pretend they are cactuses. Nice. I mean, I get the whole giving your soil a chance to dry out a little bit so the roots can go searching for moisture. I get that. But if they're already root bound in the little pot, the only thing that they want is a new vessel. I've had strawberry honey. You had? Now I'm instantly curious, Louisiana. Was it honey made by bees who are frequenting the flowers of strawberry plants? Or was it strawberry flavored honey? Like they put some sort of strawberryness in the honey. I would probably like this first option a little bit more, but both of them sound good. I'm still trying to get my mom as well to start smoking weed, Louisiana. And she has no interest, absolutely no interest in smoking weed with me. Right? And I keep offering, I keep asking, I keep hoping that she'll be like, okay, I'll smoke a little bit of a vape with you or whatever. But nay. And a part of me, that same part of me that wants to offer my mom weed, wants to offer you weed as well, Louisiana. I don't know. Like part of me believes that both of you would actually enjoy it. No, it was mixed with strawberries. Even more interesting. There was a third option that I didn't even consider. I did not even consider that to be a possibility. Okay, so now there's a new vector that opens up. Were the strawberries fresh when they were put in the honey and then they were left to ferment? Were the strawberries dehydrated and then put as like flecks? Was the strawberries put in fresh, but the honey was being heated up, so it kind of like disintegrated the strawberries? What else would I would do if I was a food scientist as well? Uh, yeah, like freeze dried strawberries maybe as like another option. Mm, it was meant for stirring into tea. Okay, so with the strawberry super fine, because I'm a little bit of like a peculiar person when it comes to finding chunks in my liquids, right? Like even honey, I even have like a thing with honey sometimes where it bothers me that it clumps up. Even though I know if I keep stirring it'll dissolve eventually, but it bothers me that it clumps up. It bothers me if there is grains of sugar at the bottom of my cup. So I imagine it bothering me if there is like chunks of strawberries floating in my tea as well. I'm telling you that what most people call root bound is like 10% of what they're capable of in those little pots and still thrive. Take a deep breath and remember, plants, love is true. It's true, bro. I'm not like the thing is, it's a matter of perspective, Duck Dad. You might have been frequently keeping your plants in their little pots, right? And I'm not necessarily saying there's something particularly wrong with that. I'm literally going to be growing my plants in fabric pots, right? 30-gallon fabric pots. So technically, I'm doing pots as well. However, I have witnessed with these two eyeballs the death of so many poor plants just getting synthed, right? Getting purchased and then getting slowly dehydrated into death. And I don't want that for anything, anyone, any plant, right? It hurts me to witness it. And I see them standing there and I see this whole trajectory of them slowly but surely dying. I like re-amended some trees that have been standing in bags for months, with some nitrogen today. And I keep asking my dad, where can I plant these trees? And then it's like okay. Love is true. My plants will be okay. There were no chunks? Okay, so it was made super fine. That does sound kind of nice. I'm curious about the technique that they follow to make it. I'm imagining heated honey probably would be the best. I don't know if honey heats that well though. If it crystallizes if you heat it. How much strawberry ratio? That's probably important as well. Like the thing I'm thinking about is moisture actually, Louisiana. Like honey is hydrophilic. I believe that's the terminology, which means it pulls water from the air. Like if you leave your honey open, like your honey lid open, it will literally start pulling air. And if you keep it open, it will start fermenting. Your honey will start fermenting in that jar. So I'm like wondering if that strawberry added a lot of moisture and how they got around that, right? Like maybe I'm looking into it too much. That is probably exactly what's happening. Plants, responsibility, knowing better, knowing better. All right, like today's knowing better stream topic was inspired by the animals, technically. Inspired partly by the ignorance of being a child, but definitely accentuated by the animals. The cows were in my little shaded greenhouse area. And like the amount of anxiety pulsing through my body, imagining them having stepped on my plants or having just ripped it out of the ground, having mangled my leaves, or having destroyed my trellis net. I have painstakingly, like a spider. That's literally how I see myself while I'm doing it. I have painstakingly, like a spider, constructed a trellis net out of short runs of wire, like wire runs that's like maybe a little bit longer than my wingspan, right? Wire lengths this long that I attached to one another, kept attaching to one another, and I've been using those attachments over and over because like I don't know where my dad got it, but he has like 3 or 5 bundles of these small little offcuts of wire. They're like twisted together. I think what it might have been is like the wrapping wire of some sort of cable or some sort of, you know, yeah, like a cable, like some sort of electric cable, heavy duty underground run electric cable, and like the wires that went around that got like stripped off. Maybe like the what. So okay, this is what my mind is generating as a potential where my dad could have gotten it. Like they strip those wires when they run them into the motors. So when they got stripped, there were these runs of wires that kind of laid somewhere, and they've been laying there in the garage for like 5 years or something as well. And then I felt this urge to turn them into trellis netting, to support my plants while I won't be here. Because that's usually the thing, right? Like when I'm living here, I can be very proactive and I can watch how my branches move and I can try and, keep things together, if you will. But I won't be here to do that stuff. So I decided to build this whole thing. And I'm very proud of it. It doesn't look good, relatively speaking, right? Because it's made of short runs of wire. It is not going to look smooth and consistent, all the way through. But it's me, and I've been thinking about Aunt B a lot. It's me doing the most. It's me doing what I can with what I have where I am, right? And it's been super fun. And like imagining the freaking cows absolutely destroying that stuff, it instantly had my blood boiling. Pippi is giving some love. And hey, Melita, Zano, and Isaac, just like 111 joining us to come and share their lovins, sending you blessings. And yeah, I got angry. I got angry with the cattle for being in my shaded greenhouse where my plants are. And then I realized they don't understand, right? They don't understand. Or at least I want to believe they don't understand. I want to believe they know better. I really do. But I don't know if they do. So I don't know if I should be angry at them. I missed 1111. I'm so sorry. You don't have to say sorry to me, dear friend. It's completely okay. It's one of those things, There will only be one of them ever. And you can't exactly reverse time. You'll have to wait for day 11,111, I guess. That's the next closest best thing you'll get. Maybe day 2,222. We could have like one of those synchronous days again. I'm telling you, love again to you. Well, not thinner, but more vicious. Honey gets thinner if you heat it. Oh, viscous. Well, not thinner, but more viscous. Isn't it less viscous? Isn't more viscous thicker, right? Viscosity if you increase the viscosity of something, it gets thicker, I believe. So you might reduce the viscosity by heating it up. Hello, lovelies. Bless you, Zano. That honey was inside individual straws. Oh, with the end sealed shut, so they were shelf stable. You snip off the end and stir your tea with it, and the honey slowly seeps into your tea. That's pretty neat, man. Like I'm asking because I would like to have stuff like this. I want to create a coffee shop eventually one day, right? And having, like a nice little strawberry flavored honey to mix with your rooibos tea sounds like a whole vibe. I didn't even know that was a thing, so thank you, Lozana, for illuminating my mind. Isaac saying, "Good morning, friend. Bless you." Or you slurp that shit up like a proboscis. Animal freak fly creature. Cows. Can cows get high? Hey, Google. Can cows get high from eating my marijuana plants? I think we have searched this. Dairy cows that eat leftover hemp from the cannabis industry seem high to the point of illness and have potentially unsafe levels of psychoactive compounds in their milk. Holy shiznit. Shame. That doesn't sound like a fun time. I'm sorry, cows. They're so high to the point of illness. Oh, shame. I don't know how much freaking hemp they're feeding them. Are they feeding them exclusively hemp products? That might be the problem. But yeah, it seems they can get high. I mean, the plant kingdom, any animal like deer, cows, uh, goats, the freaking chickens. I think I don't know if the chickens would be that interested, but a great deal of animals are very interested in your marijuana plants as well. It's very interesting that you do indeed feel a sense of responsibility to your ranch. Your ranch? Like the space you live on? Yeah. Weirdly enough, I feel that sense of responsibility only really kicked in now that I'm leaving. Like properly kicked in. It's been there kind of, but I realized that one of that nagging parts of feeling responsible for your ranch is like the certain level of financial difficulty that comes with trying to do it right. Mm, Or you can sniff both ends and the honey goes into the tea quickly. I think they were called honey sticks or honey straws. That's pretty cool. I'm sure they could, Sam. But would it be high for them? I'm sure you would get a number of chemicals that would make them feel weird. Yeah, I think in order to answer that question, we would first have to have a solid understanding of what cow reality is. Weirdly enough, I was thinking about that as well today. I witnessed two different things that really made me think about what cow reality actually is. The first instance was watching a cow chew on my shaded netting when they were inside my greenhouse, right? Like literally chewing on this like white cloth. And I wonder, what is that doing for cow reality? Like the way I thought of it is texture, right? Like chewing on plasticky, white, fibrous stuff is probably experientially very different to the normal fibrous plant material that's juicy that you usually get to consume, right? Because that's the way that I thought about it, like from cow reality. Why are they doing that? Surely it doesn't taste good. Surely it has to be a texture thing. And then the second thing that I witnessed that really convinced me that cows are weird is this like baby cow, and it was baby enough to still have like the little string attached to his little belly, right? So like very baby cow, and there was like a small piece of chain hanging, and he went up to the chain. Like what I saw is this little cow doing this to the like next to the wall, right? And I'm like, the fuck is happening there? And then I keep watching, and I see this cow move away, and the chain links click, 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 being pulled out of the cow's mouth. So not only are they willing to chew on fibrous plastics, but this freaking cow was sucking on chain links, right? And it didn't look like it was trying to extract food from it, right? Like I want to make that very clear. It looked like it was trying. It looked like it was experimenting, like it was testing. What the hell is this, right? And the only way for it to kind of like touch things and feel things is to literally do it with its mouth and its tongue. So that took me for a little bit of a ride. Sucking on freaking chain links. It's like it's stripping me out just thinking about it. In order to answer the question, love again is true. I see you, man, eating weed, not get high. Periods. True. High to the point of illness that tends to happen when no one steps in and stops the newbie from getting himself roasted like a chicken. Exactly. I usually keep my smoke away from the animals. My best friend back in New York City used to give a Dalmatian named Shelby, who loved to smoke weed. She'd sit in front of us, toke up, and nibble in the air at it. Weirdly enough, Pippi does that as well, right? Pippi doesn't nibble at the air. When I'm like blowing out and she sees the cloud, she'll go like she's smelling the air. You know, I've like witnessed that. And if I'm like smoking and I'm like crouched down, she'll like nuzzle herself like almost like into my leg area to kind of like get close to my face as well. So some dogs definitely do realize that there is something that changes in their system when there is cannabis around. And some of them can be aware enough, they can understand what's happening and they can enjoy that too. But again, it's not exactly something that you would recommend. Go and see if your dog wants to get high with you. No, very not recommended. I usually keep love again. Their mouths are their hands. There we go. I don't know if me and Zano came to that same point, but yeah, literally, their mouths are literally their hands. Kratos cow. I mean, he chew. I mean, we chew on gum. When I was a kid, I sucked on coins, which is disgusting. Now that I have knowledge, now that you understand, right? I like how the theme is coming back. Now that you understand, sucking on coins, it's not exactly advisable. You know better, and you don't do that. But and in a weird way, that's a curse. That knowing is a curse. It's a blessing as well. We had a whole stream topic about that, how there can be these blessing and curses adjacent to one another, right? It's a blessing that you no longer have to be exposed to all of that bacteria and all of that finger sweat and etc., right? But the curse is that you don't get to live with that level of innocence, where you could just put coins in your mouth and not think anything of it. You could just think about, this coin, and I did that too, for what it's worth, like that. I too did that as a child. And for me, it was a flavor thing. I was very fascinated by the flavor of the coins. I was like, tastes like metal. Interesting. Maybe I was like tasting the oxidation of like people's acidic sweat and the metal combined. I'm so sorry. Maybe they're just bored. Oh, that wasn't Doug, that was Isaac. Sorry, bro. Maybe they're just bored and don't have thumbs. I mean, they do get bored. And they're also very curious creatures, right? Like curious to the point of destruction. If you give them water and you have like one of those ball valves that move with the water level, right? And it has like a little spout, and they realize, wait a second, as this thing moves, this spout does things. They'll like start playing with the little leverage arm. I don't know how to really say it in any other way. They'll play with the leverage arm to hear the little squirting noise of the water over and over until they destroy it. So you literally have to like build cages around those mechanisms so the cows don't end up destroying your stuff. That's why I say, like, I had a whole conversation about it the other day. I don't know if cows are good people. I really don't. I don't know if they're good. I think they understand. I think they understand enough, right? They live relatively passively, but if you gave them an edge, right? Like they won't care about your feelings, kind of vibe. That's the way I think of it. I don't know if they would. Like these cows will straight up trample my plants into oblivion and not even think about me, right? They won't even think about me. They won't even register that they're doing something wrong right now. Oh, look at these beautiful growing plants. so lush and vibrant. I'm gonna stomp them into the earth because I am unaware of where I'm walking right now. No, no awareness. Is lack of awareness asshole behavior? I feel like weirdly enough, all of us had like a yeah, in a weird way, right? A little bit, a little bit. But are they doing it intentionally? I think intentional asshole behavior is more asshole than unaware asshole behavior, right? Surely. Oh, no, 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 scuff now. Should you know more? Or in middle school, chugging monsters and shaking so much my eyeballs rattled. It's cool learning what can fuck you up. Yeah, I never did the caffeine one. I had an experience of caffeine like that where when I just started working out, uh, there was a bunch of other dudes in the hostel with me working out as well, and one of the other dudes had like a little container of pre-workout, and I didn't have any exposable cash to spend money on stuff like pre-workout, so I asked him if I can take a scoop of his. But I asked him if I can take a scoop of his before school, and I took a scoop of this pre-workout and I went to school, and by assembly, like when we had to sit in lines to get ready for like the announcements and stuff, I was literally flushing red. I had like red patches on my skin. I was like sweating, literally drenched in sweat. I felt like I was gonna die. Heart palpitations, the works. And I was like, I took a single scoop of whatever flavored white powder was in that container. I refuse. I will not do that again. I didn't touch that stuff again. Like, that just fucked me up, straight up, and not in a good way, unfortunately. My kitty is afraid of tinfoil. It's a curse for him, but it keeps him off the table. I heard about that. Where you put like sheets of tinfoil on the tables, and as soon as they jump on it, it makes like crash, and then they like get away from it. Yes, dude. It was that metallic flavor. It was so weird. You say, I know. Oh, I know. Clown to clown communications happening right now. That and licking 9 volts to get that little tingle. That one I did a fair share as well. Licking freaking 9-volt batteries. I had to wrap my antiques in tinfoil the first few months they were in the house. Zano. They just would not stop scratching it. Oh goodness, yummy battery tingle. I do wonder if there are any creatures that can witness us with thumbs and get envious of us. Like how my cat knows how to open doors and she uses both paws to try but can't get a grip. For me, it's the like manipulating the container I keep their food in, right? Like there's a container on top of the cupboard, and then their food is basically being served on like the standing deep freezer. So like I can pick that thing up, pinch it between these things, and then it has like a seal that I can pry open, right? And then after prying it open, I can manipulate this with my wrists, and I like feed them, and like they're helpless without me, right? They're not going to be able to open that. They might knock it off of the cupboard, and it like the fall might shatter it open. But if it doesn't open by the fall, they won't really have the level of cognitive. I don't even know if it's necessarily an opposable thumbs thing, right? Like for instance, I believe, Isaac, if you were now put directly in a cat body and you look down and you have little cat limbs, I still think you would be able to manipulate things in space and time relatively well. And not as well as you were able to as a human being, but relatively well. You're able to you'll be able to survive. You'll get along, right? You'll be able to feed yourself. You'll be able to steal food from places, creatively as a cat. Really creatively. I would have a lot of fun if I was a cat. Like a lot of because I don't understand better. I'm just being a cat, of course. So I feel like it's the understanding better thing. They don't understand better. They don't understand their own limitations. They don't understand our world's limitations because a lot of our world and the world they find themselves in right now, living with us, is not exactly the natural world to them. Food used to be, something that made cheap in the tree. Now it's small little kibble bowls, and they still, eat their fair share of birds and things and rats. Ideally, the technically the food is supposed to be supplemental. It's supposed to be, so they don't go hungry. However, Shelby and Roxy exclusively eat pellets, I believe. They don't feel too bothered to go and try and hunt at least rats. They do, however, kill a lot of birds. They kill the lizards, but they don't eat them, which makes me sad as well. Right, one for the killing of the lizards, but two for the not eating of them. Right, if you're gonna kill something, please eat them, please. mm Does she see me grabbing and holding things? Does she get annoyed? If not, is there a creature that could? I think again, it's an understanding thing, right? Like they don't even understand what it is you're doing when you're manipulating things with your opposable thumbs. Like it's so far out of their frame of reference that they don't even understand. That's the way I think of it, right? Maybe it's me discounting them a little bit. Maybe there's more going on between their little ears than I'm giving them credit for. No. When I first put it down and he tried to jump up, he almost hit the freaking ceiling. He jumped so high, so he went like and then jumped again. Almost hit the ceiling. It's kind of funny. Isaac, one of my cats, only one of them, uses his front paws like arms because he's got long limbs. It's the weirdest thing to watch her fish for toys underneath the couch. Yeah, right? Where they're yeah, like again, it's a level of understanding. That cat understands, it's capable of something. So maybe it's like just a limitation, like a vibrational frequency limitation kind of thing. Love is true. Yeah, the monster as a tween was a lot. I'll get a crazy sweets and heart palpitations, but the mind of a middle schooler is like that. Quirky. I'm so hyper I could die. Monsters never did that much for me, weirdly enough, dude. That's the thing that I'm also confused by. Like me and my friends would drink like 3 monsters a day easily, and it never gave me like heart palpitations or any bad vibes. But at the same time, it took me a long time to realize anything changing with my consciousness. I think only really when I started smoking weed, and to be honest, only really when I started eating mushrooms, that I noticed things could change me, right? Or change the way I feel, change the experience I have in this world. Yuri is chewing his foot, and I'm not appreciating that sound too much right now. Chewing on tinfoil with fillings. Dude, being a cat would be insane. Watching the calculus happening in their head, prepping for a jump, get the angles right, and then nailing it and balancing like a ninja. Weirdly enough, I don't think any of that happens, bro. I think it's just like you looking at like the top of that roof, and then just knowing you understand, right? You understand. I am capable of vaulting that distance, and then doing so, and then you understand that you are capable of balancing on a stick, and then you do so, right? Like I feel like that's maybe a cool way for me at least to interpret the way that they see the world. It's not so much with like intricate calculations, but deep understanding of themselves and their fractal of the world, their ability to manipulate themselves in the world as well. Congratulations, Isaac. You are now a cat. You have the jumping abilities you asked for, and a compulsion to lick yourself in rooms full of strangers. Leg up. Licking yourself in a room full of strangers. Oh, bruh, Isaac, I would like 100%. If this was like a real life situation, I would like take a blanket and like slowly put it over you, and then go back to the rest of the room. And knowing cats, And since you are now cat-like, you would probably pull the blanket off so that you can be fully visible, and then you would continue licking yourself. I mean, cats are so entitled, right? I mean, so paws at the handle of the sink. She paws at the handles of the sink when she wants water, and she twists the door handles to go outside. She'll try for about 2 minutes, then just cry at me until I do it for her. Yeah, so maybe she does understand that that's what she wants done, but she understands that her little thingies, her little equipment, is not going to be. Technically, it wasn't made for her, right? Technically. And if you want to get real about it, we can build systems for our animals where they could be like a paw height, button for them to press that opens the door for them or whatever, right? That's a little bit elaborate, but the point I'm trying to make is that if we accommodated our animals, even cows, like literally even cows, so that they had like cow accessible, cat accessible, dog accessible handles, they would be able to enter and exit our rooms as well. They would be able to feed themselves, I believe. They would be able to entertain themselves as well, to be very, very honest, actually, and realistic. Like, it is possible. I think they're smart enough to understand. You can't create a world like that. I'm thinking about like an old movie that I watched, where like an old abandoned hotel was like turned into like a pet set, like a dog sanctuary by some kid. I don't know why my mind is going there right now, but I feel myself in that fractal. I'm watching the cows destroy trees. They don't care. They don't care. The cows are assholes. I'm more and more convinced by the day. I should try. Isaac, 3 days in a row. Try, Isaac. Bless. It's nice to see you here as well. Here's Jovan. Sending you lovin's. How are you feeling? Jovan has been feeling a little bit. No. Jovan has been winning the fight against being under the weather. How are you feeling today? A little bit more above the clouds, or is it still a little bit musty? Oh, snap! I'm pretty sensitive to caffeine and was a pretty little guy. Were you on meds at all that could have inhibited it? I don't know if antidepressants or Concerta inhibits caffeine. I think Concerta would do the opposite, probably, right? But even that, I didn't even notice. Like when I was taking my antidepressants and Concerta, I didn't even notice that stuff, right? I didn't notice a difference taking Concerta, which was also so weird for me. Like something I had to switch. I think it was like when I started taking mushrooms, right? Like when I started taking mushrooms, it made me very aware that I was having this very complex and rich inner experience. It sounds so cheesy saying it like that, but that was really what it was. Like for my whole life, I was very much a materialist, right? I believed reality was only these things that I could see, right? And I was very obsessive about wanting to see only the best, eat only the best, experience only the most magnificent, right? Like I was very obsessed with that fractal, and I measured my own state of being, right? I measured my own being of a 16-year-old having to sit in a classroom with a bunch of other 16-year-olds. I measured that as like suffering because I wasn't on a beach somewhere or I wasn't in the mountains somewhere. I was like telling myself stories like that. And yeah, like the Concerta, the antidepressants, the caffeine didn't really make a difference. Like it was just like, oh, now I'm experiencing my outside world still kind of vibe. And then the mushrooms was the first experience that really took me inward and showed me that I could literally like close my eyes for the 6 hours that I would be in that mushroom experience and not feel like I'm missing anything, right? And that can also be a concerning thing to hear, right? Because like this world is beautiful and it's worthy of you and your experience, and it's something you should be excited about going out and having, if you will, these experiences. So an experience that shows you that you don't need any of that, right? At all, in fact. that you need nothing, technically, that you are already complete in every sense of the word. It's a it's a weird place to find yourself within. And ever since then, ever since making that inner connection, I have been a little bit more sensitive to how things influence me and how they affect me if I end up taking them, right? And it's been a process of getting to know myself as well. I don't know if it's good that I am so insensitive to some of the things that I do, but it is technically a benefit from the perspective of I don't end up getting too messed up, right? Like I can one for one take the same dose as all of my friends, and amongst all of them, I'll be the one that's the most, at least, sober passing, right? If we had to run into a bunch of sober people, I'll be the one talking kind of vibe, right? Because they'll be none the wiser. I already talk like I'm on psychedelics all the time. Maybe maybe I am already on psychedelics all the time, and taking them just adds more fuel to the fire that's already burning. That could be another way to see it. The caffeine, it just adds more oxygen. But there's already a fire. Okay. No. My cat truly believes he owns the world. And with all of that beautiful, majestic fluff, I'm not sure he's too far off. Do sick and do not sick. There is no try to be sick or to not be sick. That is the question, you friends. Melty, I would think that you, of all people, would definitely feel the effects of Monster. I do these days. These days I do. But like as a teenager, I didn't. And it's interesting for me to now, in hindsight, in retrospect, to notice that, right? To see how I have gained more understanding about how things influence my body. You are normally very observant of your body and the effects of foreign substance. Yeah, I've gotten that way. I don't think I was like spawned that way. Because again, there's so much out there in the outside world to be distracted by, right? Like if you don't take the time to look inside, you won't. Why would you? This thing's significantly more entertaining out here, right? The stuff in here can be dark, can be angry, can be sad, can be disappointed, can be experiencing a deep sense of dread, right? Nobody wants that. Everybody wants good, yeah, nice, dopamine, right? Everybody wants that. Yeah, good, yes, nice. That's easy. That's the easy stuff, right? That's why cocaine is so popular. That's why meth is so dangerous, because it gives you that. It gives you, yes, everything. Everything good. Yes, you. Good. Yes. Psychedelics is like, hey, dude, what's up? Psychedelics is kind of like that, but very much like you can't escape this person that is suddenly asking you what's up, right? Because that person is you. In that new state of mind, I have articulated that the psychedelics have a voice as well. Like I have literally had like in-depth and lengthy conversations with what was very much a feminine entity in my mind, right? And usually my golden teacher experiences, like that's who she is. She is this golden teacher, and like she's so gentle. She's so gentle and so compassionate and so kind with her display, with her not the right word I'm looking for, presentation, with her presentation of this very important information that you're supposed to be absorbing, and to give you a perspective of what that looks like. 2 years ago, the year, no, yeah, 2 years ago, the year after I've been doing this for 1 year straight, I took 4.44 grams of mushrooms and decided, at least at first, that I was going to kind of like self-isolate during that experience, understanding that there is value to be had in just closing off and going inward. diving deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. There's value to be had in that. And I set out to do that. So I put myself in my room. I'm comfy underneath my blankets, and I'm diving. I'm diving. I'm diving, and it's almost like I hit a stage, right? And that stage has these massive curtains, and I'm standing there, and these curtains open up, and it shows me like an external third-person perspective of my life, and it shows me living my entire life right here on the farm. I never go anywhere, right? I self-isolate for always right here on the farm. I still do my live streams. I'll still do that. It showed me still showing up day by day by day, right? And it showed me like an 80-year lifetime. And it showed me as this 80-year-old oak, you know, laying in my deathbed. And some of you friends, right? The people that love me came to be there with me during my final days. And I die. And the curtains close. And the curtains open back up. And it shows me again, starting from the same perspective, that third person perspective, but it shows me living a life of radical abundance, right? Radical self-acceptance, radical willingness to experience the world, doing everything that I've ever hoped I could, building the pieces of technology, the cities, the going intergalactic, literally like to the extremes of, that I couldn't even imagine. I can't imagine right now to articulate to you the beauty that was shown to me is possible for my life. And then it showed me the end of my life. And I'm in my deathbed. And I'm surrounded by people that love me. And I die. And the curtains close. And she's sitting there with me. And she goes, "So what did you learn?" And I start crying. And I say, "It's about the people that love me." And she just has this nod, like, yeah. And I open my eyes. And I get up from my bed. And I go and walk. And I come and sit here in the TV room with my parents. And I spend the rest of New Year's with them, tripping on 4.44 grams of mushrooms, with my parents sitting next to me. We're watching Netflix. There was at that point a baby puppy and a baby other dog that went to Zimbabwe with my dad because of some friend that lives there. Right, so I had these two little baby puppies on my lap, very high on mushrooms, my parents next to me, and we were watching first this weird Afrikaans movie that I already forgot the name of, and the second movie was SEAL Team, which is still one of my all-time favorite movies. If you haven't seen it, watch SEAL Team. It's beautiful. It's very real, so be prepared, but it's beautiful. And yeah, right? Like technically from that moment on forward, that voice was gone. That feminine voice was gone. I was still like far away from my peak, so it's not necessarily how high you get kind of thing. It's very much like a willingness to listen, and yeah, it's trippy that those experiences are available to us at all. It like doesn't really make that much sense. Right? Doesn't make sense? Did that whole thing I just told you about make any sense, really? Right? At least from our modern world perspective. I don't know. Hey, I see John here. Melty, bro. I had a fun idea. You, Max, and I are gonna have jam sessions an hour a day. Weren't we talking about obligations before, Sam? I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. The thing is, I understand that it's not always easy to just do an hour a day of something, right? I spend like an hour to 2 hours a day making flowers. I spend an hour to 2 hours a day making conversation. I spend an hour a day getting ready and giving yoga. I spend an hour to 2 hours a day eating. I spend multiple hours a day outside taking care of plants. At least this is the fractal I'm seeing, understanding who I'm going to be when I come and, when we come and live together. right? So understanding all of these hours, I look forward to jamming with you. But an hour every day, you bongo, I'll teach Max basic piano. I have a piano and me on guitar. Give you both vocal training stuffs. I do like those ideas. Those do sound nice. Maybe I can use my kalimba as well. You know, it might be a little bit softer. But I have been feeling this drive, this urge to sing more. You know, I think yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. Was it yesterday? Suddenly, there was just this song in my heart, dude. I felt this sense of running from myself. Like all of that dancing was like a weird fractal of running from myself. And yeah, I look forward, bro, to making music with you, man. It's gonna be fun. Maybe we can even live stream it. All right? Because this is my fractal, dude. You're like, oh, yeah, we're gonna make music together, says John to Melt. And John is like, hey, I'm gonna get what I want. Rubbing his hands together like an evil maniac. And me being like, I'm gonna get what I want. Footage. Content. Give me that content. And then suddenly John realizes now he has to cope with the reality that there is an I there in the world, right? You just have to normalize it. Like to again, this eye that is looking at me right now, I see it as the eyes of a friend. The eyes of a friend is looking upon me right now. So I just have to be who I am to my friends. It's that easy, bro. I'm looking forward to it, dude. It's gonna be so much fun. I'm so stoked. So many new things are coming, new experiences, new conversations, stuff that I can't have here right now. I've learned a lot from this place. I've grown, but it is time, right, for a new journey. It always feels to me like all of a sudden everything is crunched up in a paper, and all of a sudden I realize I've been looking at a pop-up book, and the real world is melty AF. Melty, I'm sitting here nodding my head in agreement. I knew you would understand. Brother Joe Schmo, sending you so much love. Band as a hobby and see where we can maybe get some gigs in between our work. Maybe, bro. Maybe. Like, I don't understand that part of myself well enough to give you definitive answers. Since today's stream topic is about understanding, right? I don't know if I like music. Not I love music, right? To listen, I love music to dance. I love making music from myself, right? In any given moment. I believe speaking in a way is technically lyrical. And we can use our inflectuations to make different sounds. It is like a type of singing that we're doing right now, right? However, do I want to be doing gigs, right? Do I understand that part of myself? Do I understand the part of myself that I am when I'm doing gigs? When I have to be somewhere at a certain time to set up, to tune my instruments, to make sure the mics are properly leveled, to sit in front of a bunch of people. Do I understand that version of myself? Nay. Nay, I do not. But I am willing to learn. Always willing to learn. There was Anna and Zana and Isaac and Jaju and John and Sam and Luke and Duck and Nell and Mel and Mel. If you're reading this, I know that I believe that you're a powerful and capable being. Know you, beloved Joe. Sending you so much love. Yay, band hobby. Melty, you realize that some of us are going to live for 100. Yeah, I know, 100%, dude. I believe way longer than that, Joe Schmo. Like, way longer. I think 150 years. Like, if people, when we are 150 years old, if people die at 150, people are going to see that as a shame. Like, it's like something sad. Like, oh, he died so young. That's what I believe society is going to be like. Right? Ah, that's so young. He could have lived for tens of thousands of more years at 150. That's rough. right? That's the way I think it's going to be. I hope so, at least. I want us to see life as that new. Again, yesterday's stream topic, right? That even a 150-year-old person is still like a spring chicken to our consciousness. Mm-hmm. 150 plus years, when you finally lose this body, we'll already all be in one place. Exactly. The singularity approaches. Centuries long lifespans will not be uncommon. Yeah, it's true. I don't need things. It's making me happy to hear you echoing these things back to me. We just have to struggle for a little bit longer. In these soft, mushy meat pickles. Death is only the beginning. Every struggle and smile and silly moment that we have experienced in these bodies is just the introduction to this consciousness thing. Yeah, it's like a layered thing, right? Like you are like slowly but surely having like layers melted away to you. And as these layers melt away, more and more is revealed. And more is revealed from a capacity like having like a Dyson sphered star and the layers of the Dyson spheres being pulled away. Some of your friends don't know what Dyson spheres are. Like layers of an onion, right? But the core of the onion is actually a star, the actual sun. And as these layers come away, we become enlightened because we realize there is this core of light at the center of every single one of us, this bright burning consciousness permeating literally everything, permeating beings that are here amongst us, but inaccessible to these physical body senses. So to echo what Joshua was saying, all you have to do right now, and he did technically go in the other direction, but all you have to do right now is stay alive. Right? If you think things are rough, if you're worried about the economy, if you're worried about war, if you're worried about famine, if you're worried about the rapture, if you're worried about AI, if you're worried about, add your fear here. Stay alive. Take this breath and exhale. And then take this inhale and then exhale. And we keep doing that. And before we know it, this world is going to be unrecognizable to us. A movie that really encapsulates this feeling that I have right now is a movie called White Noise. If you have some time and an appetite for something a little bit cerebral, surreal, very artistic as well, watch White Noise. I watched the movie White Noise. I recommended the movie White Noise to Brother Ryan. He watched it as well. And then the events of what happened in White Noise almost one-to-one happened in the real world as well, which is also like an added layer of like melting my brain about the nature of this world we're in. Okay, let me continue reading. Gonna be good, Mel. I'm so freaking excited for you, man. Bless Isaac. Yeah, I'm excited, bro. Love is true. Was just thinking, I wish I could come with you like a mini version of your pocket, just cheering you on. But that's already kind of the case. Yeah, exactly, dude. Like, while I was reading your message, I was like, but that is technically what's happening right now, isn't it? Top of the wheel. Thank you. Thank you. Like, again, even though that is what's happening right now, like, you friends have been a part of this support. You have been doing that, right? You have been supporting me. We wouldn't be here right now if not for your friends' continued support. Thank you for being in my life. Never mind in my pocket, but in my life, right? Contributing, adding to the value. Your contributions, the fact that you are supporting me on Patreon is literally going to mean I get to afford my apartment. One to one, right? The fact that you friends come to my yoga classes, I get to eat food. Like it melts my brain a little bit, but that is the reality of the situation. So thank you. Thank you, seriously. You've been on stage your whole life, yeah. Especially the last 3 years. Technically, I'm on stage right now, but I don't have to. I get to dissociate. I get to imagine you as one friend, a single unified friend, right? We're melt more in this moment. That unity, you know. So I don't have to trip myself out about being strange or being weird. We are the same thing, kind of vibe. But when it's a crowd, I am the performer, and the crowd is just there. watching, right? You friends aren't just, some of you might be just like watching, and that's okay. But you actually have the power to send something in chat, and I do have the power to read it, and then that has the potential to completely change the trajectory of this whole stream. Where with like being on a stage and having a show, that usually isn't the case. So I'm not trying to make a point that one is better or not, and the other. It's just I feel more comfortable understanding myself in the one as opposed to the other. The one thing I hate more than anything is feeling stupid, right? And I have performed a few times, John. I'll tell you about these stories. I might have lightly told you about them, but I have performed a few times, forgotten my lines, and God literally laughed off the stage, like actually laughed, right? Like roaring laughter as I pretend that I don't exist walking down the stairs of the stage, right? Not making eye contact with a single person. Like I've been there. And I understand that that's not who I want to be. I also understand that the best way to mitigate a situation like that is to learn my lines. But I also understand that I don't want to. I don't fucking want to learn my lines. So I like to kind of like free flow, do whatever it is I want to, right? Like even when I created some videos with like scripts, like it irks me. It irks me big time. Makes me feel like a trapped animal in a cage. I knew it was in there somewhere. I think I might have missed something. Joe, my dad is turning 90 this year. His oldest brother is turning 100. All my living aunts and uncles are in their 90s. My great aunt lived to 102. Everyone is all walking around sharp as a tack. Bless them, traveling and enjoying life. Bless them even more. What a blessing it is to hear something like that, right? That there are 90s plus 90s plus year old human beings casually walking around, having cool conversations, traveling and enjoying life. That is 65 years from now from me. Am I bad at math? 75 years? No, 65 years. 65 years from now, I'll still be sharp as a tack, walking around, traveling, enjoying life. That's insane. That's so much time. 3 times the lifetime I've already lived. Casually just awaiting me. Goodness, how much is gonna change? Oh my, that's a lot of time with our current technological trajectory. No, 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 no. Rabbit, that's a blessing, right? It's a testament to the worthwhile lifestyle, you know. They're healthy because they're full of life still. And that's beautiful, literally. I believe that the fact that they're moving around, the fact that they're traveling, the fact that they're enjoying life is why they're still alive. Okay, I have a selfish question for you, friends. If you have ideas, let me know. Ignore if it's not interesting or on topic. Needing to source creativity. I'm here for it. I have a wizard in a tower built in some shield islands off the coast, like the Outer Banks lighthouse. The wizard is normally incredibly helpful to the government and city. I'm trying to imagine what that looks like. Okay. Okay. Recently, he failed an experiment to harness the power of the elemental planes, but accidentally opened a revolving door. And now there are horrible storms of fire and boulders falling from the sky. Ah, jeez, Mr. Wizard, sir. Please, please, there are storms of fire. Please, my house got crushed by boulders falling from the sky. Can you close the revolving doors? Okay, that's it. I'll ignore this again if you want to stay on topic. No, 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 no. Wait a second. So, falling from the sky. So it's causing problems for the coastal cities because of this. The PCs need help. NPCs need help. The participating characters, right? Are they participating characters? Is that how I'm supposed to interpret that? Need help. I want ideas for trippy wizard rooms to work through. No physical rules needed cause wizards any thoughts. So you need to give me more context before you jump to that conclusion. Like, where does the wizard find himself? What is his condition? Does he need to solve the problem? What is the rooms for? Does he need to put himself in different wizard rooms as like puzzles, like as a Dungeons and Dragons thing, to get to the solving of the problem? I need more context, please. Give me more cues. As an AI, I need more cues so I can give better clarity. 60% of people my age have cancer. A higher percentage, 100% of people have cancer, I believe. Right? Your body, and I'm not even joking about this. While watching this live stream, if you've been here for the last hour, your body 100% has killed cancer cells. You have had cancer cells, and your body has killed those cancer cells in the time you have been in this stream today, right? And we are curing cancer quicker now than we have ever cured anything on that scale before, Zano. So it's not a sure thing. A higher percentage than people in their 60s. I'm not afraid. I just feel it's too late for me being raised on plastic. Zano, the first step to death is accepting it. Right? If you accept, if you take that into yourself, if you make that your reality, if you choose to understand that about yourself, oh, it's too late for me. I might as well be put myself in the garbage, because I'm a garbage person. Then you will believe that. Your body will start generating cells from that principle forward, being like, oh yeah, me garbage person. So I'll just make garbage person cells. I'm of course elaborating slash embellishing a little bit, but that's the point I'm trying to make, right? You are beautiful inside and out. I haven't seen your insides just yet, Zano. True. But your personality is also great. You're a wonderful person, right? So even if we don't get to live, whatever, how many years, you're alive right now. And you get to, as this alive person, take responsibility, understanding you might not have had the best start, right? You might have had a lot of microplastics in your diet. You might have had a lot of TV dinners or whatever. But that doesn't mean it's done for, right? From this moment on forward, you have the responsibility to course correct. And if you do that, the place you'll end up at is going to be the course corrected version of yourself, as opposed to the version of yourself that already believes you're in the garbage can, right? If you're like, oh, I'm already garbage person, let me just head towards the garbage, right? Versus, oh, I have been heading towards the garbage, but actually I don't want to go there. I want to go towards that nice looking tree. Walks towards the tree. Believe that you are capable of change. You really are, dear friend. All of us are. Like, I'm a different person today than I was just 3 years ago. Like, seeing the videos and photos of myself, it's kind of like odd, and I was living a very bad lifestyle in China, right? Extreme comfort. And alongside that extreme comfort came extreme depression, extreme life dissatisfaction, extreme dread, extreme hopelessness, right? And upon trying to not be that, upon trying to change, it does. We are capable of change. Don't sell yourself short. Don't limit yourself, right? Maybe see it like that. Don't be like, oh, this is what I am, and that's how it is, right? Like you're better than that. You deserve more. All of us deserve more than what we've been dealt. Stay on topic. Flora's lava room. Yeah, I still need more information. Zano, I personally understand that fractal intimately. It's one of those well shit moments. But I try not to focus on that aspect of this physical existence. It will happen if it happens. Yeah. Like yeah, I can go into that as well, but I think it was said. Isaac, I will let that marinate. I love Shadow's floor, love idea. I think it works as well, 100%. Maybe it could be different from the story. It's hard on me. The C word has been my biggest fear my whole life, cancer. As we learn more, I have to get more in touch with my spirituality. Yeah, there is technology coming out right now. We are understanding, like for instance, a recent study. Let me actually read it to you. Hey Google, tell me about this recent study that limits 75% of the proteins cancers need. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing. Let's see if I'll get the information. This one seems old. This one seems old. This one seems very new. Plasma proteins in breast cancer. Low protein intake, preventing cancer, autophagy. Man, I really wish this was already AI. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but we recently figured out that there is a way for us to limit a certain production of a protein that is used by 75% of cancers. And without that protein present in your bodily system, that cancer ceases to grow. And that's where we are right now. And at the same time, quantum computing is coming online. Very good. AI is coming online. The processing power to run that very good AI is coming online. CRISPR therapeutics, CRISPR technology, the first FDA approved, sickle cell therapy with CRISPR has been, officially administered to people. People are literally being cured. Not being helped, not being taken care of, being cured of sickle cell, right? That's like a big deal, real big deal. And that's where we are today. Today, right? If you've noticed, like we can actually, 20 years ago, the top of the range technology, right? The best of the best, the creme de la creme cell phone technology was something that you could probably use as a blunt force, weapon if you wanted to. That's just 20 years ago. 20 years from now, we're going to be an order of magnitude away from what we would consider normal human technology. It's going to be so alien. I feel we're going to have to like completely readjust our perception of the future, and especially our perception of ourselves, right? That's the kind of the fractal I'm feeling right now. You will become gods. Let me say it straight, right? Like the thing I'm feeling. You are not a plastic person. You are God, like straight up. You just have to believe it. You have to stay alive. And that being God doesn't mean the rest of the world is supposed to start worshiping you. It means that as God, right? If you look at the biblical perspective of God, you have to be loving. You have to be love, right? As much of that as possible. You have to be the God. You have to show people God in the world. And what does God look like to you? Right? To some people, God is wrathful. Some people, God is angry. To some people, God is cynical, jealous, prideful, torturous. But that's not the God that I choose to believe in. Right? My relationship with God is very much feminine, where I believe the version of me that is allowing the observation of this moment is the masculine side of God, and everything that I observe is the feminine side of God. So, observing the coolness of the air on my face right now, right? That's God's love. Instead of cooking me alive on the surface of the sun, God's love on my skin right now. Getting to breathe fresh air. God's love in my lungs. This is gonna be fucking weird if I continue. You get the point I'm trying to make. It's a relationship of love that you have with yourself as well, right? Because in the same way, this is God's body, not plastic body, not garbage body, God's body. This one you have, so you should take care of it as such, right? How would you take care of God if they lived in your house? And the point I'm trying to make is that God does live in your house, and you should take care of them. Please take care of God. Would you? Would you do me a favor? Would you do me a solid? Take care of God for me while I'm out. He's gonna get hungry. He's gonna need walksies. Need to take a shower. I refuse. Let me see how much I missed. I refuse to view it as an inevitability. Same. I acknowledge the fractal and I think about it, but I'm not a slave to the fear about it. Exactly. I'm more freaked out that the super rich get together and predict how to take over the world like some kind of Bond movie. Yeah, that's not happening, Zano. It's It's not actually happening, right? Sure, they have meetings, but there's no way that people can take over the world. There's too many people. They can talk about products, they can talk about pricing schemes, they can talk about monopolies, but they can't talk about ruling the world, right? Like they can't rule me. If they could, I would be not smoking weed. I would not be taking psychedelics. I would not be into sacred geometry and pulling cars and sitting here, in nature. I would not be who I am if they had any control whatsoever, right? Some people are being manipulated by these products and by these prices to the point where they do become slaves to the systems and they do become controllable. But again, that's a choice. It's a choice that all of us get to make. And unfortunately, some of us are cursed with that understanding, right? The best thing that you can do for yourself and for the people around you is to be compassionate and empathetic as we go through this transition. False floor illusion of a classic spike pit beyond the projection. You friends are creative. I see Flurfroge is the worst. Isaac, it'll be cool because it makes no sense. Are some of my messages disappearing? That Playful is really making his voice heard. Be super on it. Wholesome eating. Strong. The wizard has disappeared. He can't navigate through the chaos of constant switching of elemental planes. Ah, he's on elemental planes as different rooms. Okay. Hard to explain with less words. The wizard is trapped in his experiment. So for a month, the town's big helpful wizard bro has been wrecking shit and no one can get there. Boats have a hard time because the ocean gets rocked and now populated, polluted by elemental leviathan creatures. So the goal is to work through the wizard tower to find and end the experiment. Okay, so the wizard tower, as it keeps going up, has different rooms in it. And I'm guessing this wizard is a wizard. So he's not gonna want people to actually get to the top of his tower. Make a room that has a bunch of flowers in it. But the pollen of those flowers, if you inhale it, has like a chance, right? I think you're gonna be dungeon master, right? Has like a chance of turning you into like a fungal, like it basically takes over your brain and makes you attack your allies, right? Like you have to like roll constitution or something, otherwise you get flower pollen, right? And then the flowers can also try and eat you if you get too close to it, right? How's that for a room? There you go, bro. Creativity sprinkled. No, 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 no. Same rabbit, upside down from the storms. Same rabbit. The hardest part for me is the crippling fear I've always had of it. Not dying, but that it keeps me up at night. Phobias by phobias. Yeah, it's true. Isaac, 5 years ago, my dad beat throat cancer like it weren't no big thing. Yeah, bless. Thank you for saying that as well. I appreciate that. That was Zana. Yes, Joe. Shit like this. The big thing I'm struggling with is an interesting puzzles. I'm thinking of a room with switches that changes the gravity to different walls, but the furniture and wall shift to crushing people. Sorry, this life puzzle, bro. Like as soon as I imagine furniture just moving by their ace around the room, I see crushing people. No, please. The furniture are supposed to stay stationary. We are impenetrable forces of health and vitality. Love is a healing force. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. I see a little stuffed lion. Cute little stuffed lion. Very artistic, stylized, cute little stuffed lion. In short, story, novel, D&D campaign. Is anyone in the party musically inclined? A piano staircase to allow the party to travel up a major chord and down on a minor would be interesting to figure out. I don't even know what those words mean. That you just yes. Yeah. Thanks for that, Revit. I think it's the hospital environment. Even going to an urgent care, I get panic attacks. I had to take my sweet wife into ER one time, and you'd think I was the one dying. Bless you, bro. Yeah. Death is not dangerous, right? Getting hit by a truck, getting stabbed by a knife, getting bitten by a poisonous snake. All of those things are very dangerous. Dying, however, is not dangerous. That's basically how I've been articulating to myself. I don't know if you were there for that, but recently we did like bridge swinging. So you like jump off a cliff essentially. And that's one of the things that I had to kind of like remind myself of. Dying is not dangerous. It's not something that's the end, right? At least not for me. Not the way that I believe. But again, if you come into the realms of belief, it gets muddy quickly. Isaac, what about a liquid that the wizard can breathe in? Nice. So like a room that's completely liquid, but only the wizard can breathe it. I like that actually. That's a very very creative. Which makes me mad. I need to get over that. Just one of those primal fights or flight feelings that takes over me. Yeah. Love is true. Remind yourself of that when you feel those primal flight or flight. That's literally what I do. I start, love is true. Love is true. Yes, there's, but love is true, right? You're still capable of loving. People still love you. People are still loving one another in the world. Yes. Love is still the actual truth, not this panic that I'm experiencing right now. That is probably what he's doing, like a stasis bubble, but the wizard is trapped. The players are going off to find him, so he's either burnt up in the plane or fire or in stasis somewhere. You're too kind, Shadow. Yeah, I should have clarified for D&D. I understood as such. He can pee the fire out, Merc, the Lurkin. My thoughts on a health and plastic. Yes, love is true. Bless you, bro. Rabbit, my dad had prostate cancer with 40 to 60 odds of successful removal and recovery. He's still here. Cancer isn't necessarily a death sentence. Exactly. It's scary, but it won't necessarily be a thing that gets you. I feel like, weirdly enough, unfortunately, we find ourselves in a time where getting cancer in and of itself won't even be the biggest bad thing of getting cancer, right? And I feel like this is very naive of me to say, but at the same time, I believe people maybe worry more about the financial bills, right? Like, oh no, I have cancer, that sucks. And then having to have your cancer treated and then being left with like a $300,000 bill. That would be more devastating. I would probably, be more okay with having cancer than having a $300,000 bill right now. That sounds like I'm asking for some bullshit, but yeah, I feel like that's the fucked up part, about our medical system as well. I don't know how much of our fear of cancer comes from that alone. How would you take care of God if God lived in your house? I really like that. I really like you, Jovan. Thank you. Thank you for absorbing that. Sending you so much love. That one that I have planned, mirrors that don't show a reflection until you touch it. Then a doppelganger of you pulls you into the mirror dimension of crystal, and you have to fight yourself. Okay, I think me and Isaac are definitely on the same channel. And when it comes to this kind of stuff we would like to do for the worlds, that sounds really cool, bro. Clip that. I really like it. Problem is, I give him a joint and DoorDash on taco again. It's a Kremlin. Yeah, I probably would want to do that, bro. Me and myself would start fighting one another, and then I will say to myself, "Hey, bro, this is pretty exhausting. Don't you wanna?" I got it. Don't you wanna smoke this vape with me instead? I got some really nice strawberry runs, dude. No, don't worry about not having any bud, bro. You're like a mirror dimension person. Oh, how would you have bud? Is there even any marijuana in the mirror dimension? No, that sucks, dude. Yeah, dude, sit down. Sit down with me. Let's smoke a little bit of a vape. You can calm down, And then I'll walk out and I'll tell them you basically beat me. And then I with sleight of hand or something, slipped out quickly. That's not how sleight of hand works, Mel. Don't start with me, please. Oh, Jobo. I was going to make a clip of that. I really like it too. Please do. Please do make a clip of it. I would really appreciate that. Thank you, Kristen. No problem. I'd give him love again. I've had the safeguards taken off in my brain, like thoughts going so fast that I leave this plane of reality we all function on. I've peeked behind the curtains. There is so much more after this life. Exactly. There is so much more after this life, indeed. Fear is the worst thing you can do for yourself in this lifetime. I believe, at least. It's so common. It's so easy. It's so inevitable, I feel, if you let it be. Don't let yourself fear. Let yourself love instead. Drunk room that gets hit by the series of blizzard. Alcohol keeps you from freezing to death, but impairs your ability to proceed. That's rough. I didn't know that alcohol actually stops you from freezing to death. You need a Wonka room to edible everything, but most of it is poison. Ooh. Doesn't that make mostly everything inedible? Technically. If I was in that environment, I would put the things in my mouth. And if I start feeling prickly feelings on my tongue, I would spit it out. Maybe it's so poisonous you die just by touching it. Is that still poison? Is that venom? I'm not going to get into technicalities. So much. There's so much more after this life. So much so that we should all be excited. Through history, we have used death as a punishment. There is so much more outside of our reality that is not something to explain because it's too much for the brain. I'm not afraid of leaving, I'm afraid of leaving everyone behind. And when the super rich invent illnesses and prevent stuff that can heal us, it's an evil thought process that can't and won't stop. Zano, you are those evil people as well. If you understand that there is so much beyond this life, right, you have to understand surely that there is no separation within it as well, right? Those same evil people you consider evil are you, are all of us, right? And I do believe that we are kind of like going the way of the popularity contest, where you're not going to be very popular if you take advantage of people. You're not going to be very appreciated from a societal perspective. People aren't going to want to be your friend. People aren't going to want to have your children to make it weird, right? So don't be an asshole. It's going to be very easy as a way of living, I believe at least, in the future. Especially since every single person has a camera on them as well at the same time, Zano. Things are not as bad as you think they are, believe you me. Right? There is significantly less conspiracying happening out there in the world than is happening in our collective minds, thinking that's what's happening. And that is also limiting us more than anything. Don't worry yourself about what they are doing out there. Concern yourself with what you are doing right here. That is the only thing you have control over. And bringing that stuff like, oh, the super rich are going to invent diseases and no. No, they're not. They're going to invent cures and sell the cures, right? Like that's going to be the thing. And then there's going to be new things to monetize. I believe the next age of monetization is going to be mostly digital anyway, Zano. There's going to be no need to monetize flesh because digital is very easy to distribute. Super easy, right? Exponentially easier than any other product that's ever been able to distribute. So, yeah, we are going to continue going that way. He trusts me. They are a force of nature for sure. They got a dragon trapped in water recently, and our friend Ninja Banana summoned a swarm of sharks and devoured my guys carry Dragon Balls? That sounds pretty sick. Send you all so much love, Isaac. Zano, I want to just pick your brain sometime. You sound like me a lot of the time. Like me too, right? Like, I also think these things and worry about these things. I just do not give them any more power by speaking them into this world, right? The things that come out of this mouth of mine, I take at least some time to think about them, right? I am serious about the things that I say. I say the things that I say from a place of believing that they're true, right? And that truth can sometimes be misconstrued. I don't believe people painstakingly spending their life efforts to, hurt other people is really the majority of the situation. So I'm not going to make that a part of my frame of reference. That's like, like racism in my mind. Maybe I've had a bad experience with a person of color. Now, I see every single person of color for the rest of my life through that lens of, oh yeah, all people of color are bad because I've had this bad experience once, right? That's kind of the fractal or the energy I'm feeling when it is like, oh yeah, the rich people are so and so. And no, they're probably not. The rich people are probably watching Instagram videos right now. The rich people are probably, eating good food. The rich people are probably, out in nature somewhere doing a zip line. I don't know. Like, there's only so much you can do, right? Like, maybe the rich people are having sex. What else are they gonna do? Why would you occupy yourself of being like, oh yes, let me rub my dirty little hands together and see how I can fuck people up? Like, I've never in my life personally met a single person like that. I've met a bunch of bad people. I have, really bad people. None of them actively think about how they want to fuck people up. They just have like some sort of little bit of a misconstrued sense of morality and how their actions would influence other people, but not directly just being like, oh yes, let me fucking go and get them. Oh, we don't live in that world. Oh, step the boxes. Sure, okay. Brain, I'm not afraid of leaving behind. Outside the little boxes of power and control, to understand that there is so much more to being alive and being human nature than gene editing your children and being a robot. Sorry, I'm ranting. It's okay, Sana. I'm probably going to gene edit my children if I am given the option to, right? And again, it's because I understand and I have that responsibility because I understand, right? And I feel like this is again me stepping on lines that's very sensitive, Sana, and I get that. But it's an important conversation to have. Right? If you were to have children, knowing what you know, understanding what you understand about yourself, would you want your children to have all of the same mental traits that you do right now? And it's a big thing to take a moment to reflect like that, right? Because there are some things that I don't know, and if I can gene edit my children to reduce their risk of cancer, to increase their risk of nutrient uptake, to increase their ability to feel comfortable in social situations instead of having an anxiety response when there's a bunch of people around them, right? I feel I have the responsibility towards them to do that for them because they don't get to choose their DNA. When they, like, for instance, I would 100%, and I am going to choose 100% to change things about my DNA, right? Like, for instance, for me, myostatin. Myostatin is a hormone your body releases to limit skeletal muscle growth, right? And it's a survival hormone that's produced to reduce the amount of calories you need to consume, technically. Where if you had your optimal amount of skeletal mass, you would also be eating a suboptimal amount of calories, at least according to the efficiency of our tribe communities, right? And living in a space where there was scarcity, where there wasn't enough food to go around, right? So for me, I think of it from the perspective of, yes, there is so much more beauty to be experienced in life, right? But I am going to be in this vessel for my whole life. Like there's no way out of that, right? So would I want to be in a vessel that has optimal skeletal mass, right? Optimal muscle, optimal strength, or am I going to want to be in a body that actively releases a hormone that tells my skeletal mass to continue being reduced as I keep aging, right? To me, it's a no-brainer. And it's not me being unsatisfied with my body, being like, oh, I am not as jacked as Goku right now. So I'm so sad and I'm so unhappy and my life sucks because I'm not as jacked as Goku. That's not what I'm experiencing right now, right? It's just that if I have the technology, if I have the understanding and I have the access, I believe I have the responsibility to myself. That's the way I see it, right? And they probably, those ultra rich will probably see it in that way as well, right? It won't be a taking away from life. It will be a understanding the role that they play and the responsibility they have towards their children, right? If you're going to be born as a child, I believe all of us would want to have good eyesight, good hearing, a stable cognitive load, right? A brain, would want limbs that are working, right? Like none of our kids would want to be born in a wheelchair. Not saying that a person living in a wheelchair can't have a beautiful life, an absolutely meaningful life. But if I had to choose as a child coming into this world, I would want to choose parents that would want the best for me and would want to edit my genes so that I have the best possible chance as I'm coming into this environment. For instance, there are certain genes that you can edit for more heat tolerance, right? Knowing for a fact that my children are going to exist in a world where there will potentially be more global warming. So the average temperatures in their day-to-day life is going to be warmer. Editing their genes when they're a baby to make sure they'll be more heat tolerant as a person feels to me, again, like a responsibility, not a manipulation, not a dissatisfaction, not a taking away from God's creation, but a responsibility as someone who understands the implications of what these things do. It's a lot though. Your audio is funky. Damn it. Well, I guess this conversation is a little bit of a funky one as well. I have a better voice than this. Is it so bad? Yeah, they're trying to get me to buy new ones. I can already see it. And weirdly enough, I want to. I want to capitalisms. There's like a new generation of these mics out now. Can you believe it, Isaac? They're cheaper than the amount of money I sent you when you bought mine, bro. More of a joke. You're having serious issues. It's better now. Thank you, friends. I don't know how long I've been going on for. Probably way too long. So, to recap, like a short footnotes version of all I just said, I mentioned that one, I talked about myostatin, right? And I talked about the whole gene editing our children. And the myostatin fractal is like, I have a responsibility towards myself to give myself this physical form, this vehicle I will be piloting for the rest of my life, the best possible chance, right? I have that responsibility to myself. And then from the gene editing our children, I believe, for instance, there could be a gene for like heat tolerance, how well you as a body are capable of tolerating the heat of your environment. I would feel absolutely, if I have the technology and the means to, responsible to edit that gene for my child so that when he is born onto Earth in the year 2040 or whatever, he has the genes to actually survive and to thrive and to be comfortable in his life living in an Earth that is warmer than his predecessors, had experienced, right? So in my mind, I don't see it as us trying to play God. I don't see it as us being unsatisfied with the creation as it is. I see it as we have gained more understanding, right? Like the same thing with like washing our hands to get the germs off before we start operating on a person, right? Like doctors used to not do that. Doctors used to not wash their hands before putting their hands inside of your body, right? And now that we understand better, we have to make our decisions, right? And we have to live our lives and we have to act in ways that kind of like facilitate that understanding. And gene editing of our children, I believe, is going to be attached to that understanding, right? We're going to have a responsibility to, hey Mel, your audio was funky. Joe Butt making herself a member for 6 months to create like a big green bar. So I'll pay attention for 1 second. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, 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 skip. No, no, no. My brain. Okay. She was talking about giving God and my house a joint. After double gang or getting a joint is even better. Oh, bless. Nature is so much more elegant in the process than we can achieve. Let's just embrace it, not control it. I agree completely. Oh, wish you could be a player, Melt. Love your ideas. Bless you, Isaac. Thank you, bro. I enjoy the Dungeons and Dragons Fractal. I just don't have that much time to spend, right? Like, and I know it's a big commitment. It's like a thing, and you have other people relying on you because you're a part of a team. And with like everything that I do, it's just a little bit out of reach for me. Hold me on heart though, bro. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know that you would like to have me there with you. It's fun to explore the depths of our curiosity and also the depths of other people's conspiracies. It's okay if you don't let it scoop you up and take you away from your own ability to balance. Exactly. All right, I've been here ignoring work. So happy to have done it with you, friend. To have so, ha- but so happy to have done it with my friends, ignoring work, that is. Thank you for the topics, the goofiness, and the love I needed to receive. Many blessings and smiles to you too. Thank you, Isaac. Love to you. Abandoned nature for profit. Exactly. Exploiting nature for profit is the problem. Lovely day. Fill the pocket, melty. Audio went shitty. Audio is jacked. I wonder why that happens as well. Like, why? That's the first thing that my mind starts asking. Talking into a fan. I thought it was just me, all choppy, robot mount, wondering the hell is burning all these feathers. I'm so sorry, friends. It's breaking through. Better voice. I love how oblivious he is about the issue. Yeah. You see, again, understanding. As soon as I understood that my audio was bad, then I was like missioning, right? But before I understood, I could just blissfully live in this world of problem freeness, right? Like, oh, this is wonderful. I can just man. I don't have to worry about anything. And then as soon as I'm like, your audio is shit, and I'm like, the curse of understanding. Stream topic delivered. Thank you, dear friends, for being here with me for it. It's still a little experimental, but if the back of their skulls off at 30 years old, I don't know if I would take the risk for my babies. I respect nature, and I don't need more than what I have. I get it. I know by giving myself more than I have, I'll have more to give in turn. Right. So for me, it's again a responsibility. It's not only me that's at stake, right? It's every single person I will ever influence in my whole life. It's every single person I talk to. It's every single person I help. It's every, you know, child that I end up having and their influence on the rest of the world. Like there is so much responsibility that I feel it's a no-brainer for me to edit my genes because that's literally what we do generation by generation. You picking yourself, like picking a good mate used to be an accomplishment, right? Like finding someone that was one, sexually compatible, two, had good genes. Three, were close enough to you for you to find them. Four, you could get along with them in order to raise a child together. Like all of those things, you were very lucky to be able to find it, right? And that luck is technically what contributed to your genes up until this moment. The better luck you had, or all of your generations had, the better genes you have, right? So I would like to make my children very lucky from that perspective. Again, it's my responsibility to have children with someone who would be a good genetic match for me, for example, so that my children will end up having good genetic sequences, so that they can end up being good genetic people, right? Not from a perspective of eugenics, but from a perspective of the responsibility we have as a species towards ourselves, towards one another, and towards our future generations, right? The way I'm seeing it is like from a perspective of like free healthcare, that level of responsibility. That if we are going to move to a society where gene editing becomes a part of the norm, then it shouldn't be something only kept to the rich. That is where I'll get a little bit conspiracy theory, because I believe we're moving to a future of that, of healing, of health, of abundance, of long lives, of very, very uptight, high society bullshittery, unfortunately, but that's also going to be, part of the fractal, right? It's a lot. It's a lot. It's going to be a lot. And if it took us how many million, how many billion years to get to this genetic point, clearly that's the direction we're supposed to be going in, right? We are following God's will by continuing the evolution of our genes. At least that's the way I like to see it. Obvious. Oh, and again, right? I can see it from the dystopian perspective of the rich making these therapies available and then making them so expensive that only the rich people can afford them. And that I have a big problem with. And I think there's going to be like a whole bootlegging / dark market or black market fractal as well. And I have made this commitment already in myself, where if I am in a position to, I will literally make my genome available to you, friends. At least not all of it. I'll make like parts of it available, the good parts, the parts that you would want to have. There we go. I'll make those parts available to you, right? From a perspective of like, these things ought to be free. All of us ought to have access to gene medicine, right? If you have sickle cell, you ought to have access to this treatment instead of having to have $240,000 to then be able to get this treatment. Audio is messed up again. Yeah. I'm kind of joking about it. But I'm also not actually joking about it. Like, they really are trying to get me to buy a new pair of these microphones. Like, it's some bullshit, actually. Like, they brought out the second pair, and I want to buy myself, like, a camera. DJI Pocket 3. It's like a gimbal little camera. It could be nice for the streams if we're moving, especially. But it doesn't work with these microphones. These microphones are like 1 year old, and now this piece of tech that they're bringing out doesn't work with it anymore. So it's making me want to buy now a new pair of these microphones, and now this pair of microphones doesn't seem to be working. I hope it's just YouTube being weird, like maybe there's some sort of compression thing. I'm not as jacked as Goku. Exactly, brah. I cry every night not being as jacked as Goku. It's all still experimental. What if the back of their skulls falls off after 30 years? Like, that's not how gene editing works. Fortunately. Not going to edit my genes here. If we can't handle the heat, maybe pass on with grace. I mean, bruh, that sounds like if you can't handle hunger, starve. Right? Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If you can't handle hunger, eat food. Right? If you can't handle the heat, get in the shade, drink water, jump in the pool. Not pass on with grace, bro. That's a little bit extreme, don't you think? Oh, love is true. It was pretty bad. I have eaten gene-edited food, and I miss real food. You've never tasted real food, bro. To be completely honest, Luke. This is me trying to like poke fun a little bit, right? Selective breeding is still gene editing, and all of the food you've ever eaten has been selectively bred. Hasn't been directly gene edited, but has been selectively bred, which is gene editing on like the outer dimensional perspective. You have never had any other food than gene edited food. No. A green card or a gray card. I understand what you're trying to say, But I think gene editing babies is very different than washing hands. Think about how different those things are. I'm sorry, but I can't think like that. I'm trying to make a point of understanding, right? If we understand the impact our genes have on our child's lives, right? Because it's going to be a very data driven thing, Zana. We're going to analyze the genes of our babies, right? And then on like a screen, we're going to see how these gene expressions will influence them in their lives. Because we will train data sets with like literally billions of human beings as genomes. We'll train data sets on both you and your mother's, both you and your partner's genome, right? So we have like your things with your gene expressions and how they influence your body. And then we can go, oh, look, this gene expression, this gene expression, this gene expression is going to make them chronically stuffy because of all of the pollen. This gene expression is going to make them a little bit more susceptible to angerous and like rageful outbursts. This gene expression is going to make them a little bit more willing to, commit crimes or whatever. Now we're getting into the whole weird fractal again. I think there was like a whole movie, Predestination, was that one? Right, that went into that whole fractal as well. I feel we have a responsibility towards that child to help them, right? Like if I know for a fact that my kid is going to develop Alzheimer's in their 60s, if I bring them into this world, I would be viscerally angry at my parents if they decided not to gene edit me and then suffer Alzheimer's as a 60-year-old or as a 70-year-old, right? That sounds like my parents understood, right, what they were doing, and they chose to not help me. I have new phone. Not trying to spell good. It's okay. Okay, it's back. I respect the hesitation of gene editing, but as we know, billions of years of evolution still doesn't get it right 100% of the time. Yeah, exactly. Right? That's true, Sam, because billions of years of evolution is literally been happening randomly, like shotgunning gene expressions, and like seeing what sticks. Now we understand. Now we understand. That's the point of the whole stream. We understand what our genes do. We understand adding methyl groups to certain gene expressions switches certain genes on and off in our bodies. We understand these things, right? And that's the shift. And we have technology that can understand even better than we do. It can interpret and contain and hold more data than we can even fathom. Like things change. Things have changed, right? And there's a new world awaiting us. The singularity is going to come with a lot of caveats. But humans don't need this technology. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. That's why we're creating it. We don't create things we don't need, Zano. There are people dying right now with genetic diseases. There are people who have sickle cell, which means that their red blood cells do not form beautiful little platelets. There are these little half moons. That's what it's called, sickle cell, right? There are these little half moon shape. And because of that shape, it cannot hold oxygen efficiently. And because of that lack of holding oxygen, every single bit of their bodies lacks oxygen their whole lives, causing them extreme, severe, and unending pain. And because we invented this technology, we are curing them. We need this technology. We don't create things we don't need, especially not with the billions of dollars and the hundreds of thousands of years of human hours that are actively being poured into it. It's where we're going, Zano. We're already going there, right? It's like being on the train and being like, no, I don't want to go on this train. Like you can jump off the train, but jumping off the train means that you're going to leave all of your friends and family behind because they're not going to jump off the train with you because that's die. We're going in that direction. It's where we're going. We can't stop it at this point. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. No, 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 no. All those things can happen. Too many variables. Wait a second. Humans don't need that technology. Some may want it, but we don't need it. It's easy to say if you don't have genetic diseases. Again, it's very easy to say that stuff, right? It's like, oh, you don't need glasses. You don't need glasses. Melt says to you, not needing glasses. You don't need it. Being like, the fuck? Oh, of course I need it. I can't see without my glasses. Oh my goodness. Uh, what if the future it turns into what we have done to dogs? That's 100% what's going to happen, Zano. Our species is going to completely differentiate. There's going to be multiple subspecies of human beings. That's going to happen as well, all right? And it's not evil. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, that's what people want. That's what we want. That's why we dress differently. That's why we style our hairs differently. That's why we find different things fascinating. It's a part of what makes us unique. It's a part of what makes us beautiful. It's something very hard to understand, but it's a part of the process of understanding ourselves. What we're coming up with against is the first rule of technology. If it exists, humans will abuse it. It is what it is. What we can do is police ourselves and make sure we ain't going off the crazy end. Again, gene editing can be done in your kitchen. It cannot be policed. You cannot police that, right? That's like, again, the war on drugs all over again. We have, like, again, I think there's like a certain level of like barrier of like what's happening in the world and how far people's minds have catched up with what's happening in the world, right? Like there's a big gap in that fractal with like AI, with like quantum computing, with like the amount of transistors that are being put on chips right now, with gene editing, with like so many things at the same time, with the gap of understanding is so wide, right? And people don't want to understand as well, unfortunately. It's easier to live in that state of ignorance because you get to believe, you get to really believe you know what you're talking about. And as soon as you understand more, you realize there's so much, so much to understand that you can't. Oh no, what up? So this might get wonky, but have you seen the AI evolution of walking? I'll find it again and I'll put it in the Discord. Please do. It's beautiful seeing how quickly these things learn, right? Like you can watch something learn how to walk in real time, where the act of learning how to walk for genetics have taken billions of years, billions of a B of years, right? Like think about that gap. That's the point I'm trying to make to all of you friends. That is the world we live in right now. Evolution used to be billions of years of stuff happening so that things can happen as they happen right now, right? And now these billions of years of stuff that had happened, we are simulating in real time that you can sit there and watch it happen, right? Like that is such an order of magnitude of capacity that it's hard for us to wrap our heads around what that means, right? It's impossible for us to understand how that is going to influence us over the next 20, 100 years. Like our species are going to be like literally unrecognizable. I think we're going to be more alien to ourselves. Like we are going to be, as a species, more alien to ourselves 100 years from now than the aliens we imagine would be alien to us right now. Quote me in 100 years, right? Have this shot and then show the world in 100 years from now. Be like, yeah, Mel, shit. Things got alien quickly. Oh, the things would happen. AI replacing people's jobs right now and taking food off tables because this technology is too far ahead of our current laws. Yeah, laws is also not the solution, unfortunately, right? We're gonna have to need a change of system. Unfortunately, the laws we have right now is intricately attached to that system, right? That we need to change. No, Melt, we don't understand, and the technology doesn't understand either. Putting all your eggs in one basket, that can short out with a solar flare. I mean, you're finding yourself spawned on an Earth that can be wiped out by a meteor, right? Like, yeah, that's kind of how life is, Zano. You have this one life, and if I haphazardly walk into the road and a truck hits me, then it's like over. So I should be responsible. and not just nilly-willy walk into the road and hit by a truck, right? Like there will be due diligence. We do already now have FDA-approved sickle cell therapy where we can gene edit. Come, and we'll see how these things influence people, right? How they help. These things aren't going to happen today or tomorrow. They'll happen over the next 20 years. But a lot is going to happen over the next 20 years. And we'll gain more and more understanding. And the more understanding we gain, that's the point I'm trying to make, the more responsibility we will have to use that understanding wisely. And the answer of like, oh no, put my fingers in my ears, gene editing is not a technology people need, is not, in my mind, the right approach. I guess it's a Pandora's box thing. I do have bad genes. I have mental illness. It makes me who I am, my brother. I'm not trying to tune you, Zano. The point I'm trying to make is, do you feel responsible for those genes in having children, right? I feel responsible for my genes in having children. And I would like to believe I have good genes, right? And even me, I would like to make sure there is still not some wonkiness. In my genes, I have Alzheimer's, right? My grandma passed away at age 72, 74 of Alzheimer's, right? So I watched my grandma deteriorate and then die. And I know those genes are inside my body right now. So it is my absolute responsibility to make sure those genes do not carry over when I have my child. And I am unwilling in some ways to have a child before I can do that, right? Like, and it's not me trying to play God. It's not me trying to, be special. It's not me trying to be funny. It's me taking that responsibility for my child to not want to see them go through what my grandma went through, right? I would not like to go through that either. That's why I'm so proactive with like things like psilocybin mushrooms, which apparently help for like brain-derived neurotropic factors upregulation. So I'm trying to do my job in consciously evolving, in taking care of this vessel in whatever way I can, and eventually gene editing this vessel as well to ensure that my kids have the best possible chance. I take that responsibility very seriously. I understand. I'm just not into it. I'm a runaway into the forest. Bye. We love you, Zana. We can all live along. That's the point I keep making as well. Love is still going to be true. There will be superhumans that walk amongst you, and those superhumans will still love. They'll still have families. They'll still love their children. Love will still be true, right? You don't have to run away and live in the forest and say bye. We can all live amongst one another. But to judge another person's choices because they've chosen to gene edit themselves or their children, it's just going to be more stigma, more racism, right? Which is not something that we need more of, if you've noticed our current state of reality. I'm watching the little spider lilies open up next to me. So freaking beautiful. Let's see if I can capture one for you, friends. Am I gonna punch in? Yeah. Let's see if we find one. This one feels like it might pop real soon. This one as well. There goes another one. Yeah. I'll give you friends the white lily popping fractal. Spider lily popping fractal, sorry. Melt, first see the world, young man. The other problem is that gene editing is a breath away from eugenics, yeah, which we all agreed we wouldn't fucking do. Well, we're already doing it. We're already doing it. I guess, me again, the point, we shouldn't do eugenics. Hey, Google, what is eugenics? Let me just get my definitions exactly straight. Eugenics is a set of beliefs and practices that aim to improve the genetic quality of a human population. Yes. So eugenics in that way, Sam, was identifying a certain genetic population and then labeling them as genetically inferior or superior. And then based on that genetic inferiority or superiority, they were treated one way or another, right? And I believe that is absolutely evil. That's my whole point. That's why I would want to make my gene expressions, available online if that could help a person get better genes, right, for free. Like that's literally the way that my mind thinks about it. So that is like the opposite of discrimination, and the opposite of like gatekeeping, and the opposite of like considering myself better and other people worse, and then trying to keep that betterness only in this bloodline, because that's where like the whole, trying to create an Aryan race came from as well. It was like a whole, only these people are allowed to mate with one another. Where I actually believe in genetic diversity. Like I grow plants, I literally grow plants. Genetic diversity is a good thing. Man, I'm so happy to be able to show you, friends, these popping lilies. This is making me happy. Mm-hmm. Lots of people messing with gene editing are for eugenics. I don't know who that person is. I don't want to make Melt mad. You're not making me mad. Sano, we're having a conversation. The point I'm trying to make is that these things aren't going away, right? So if these things aren't going away, what does that mean? It means that they will be used. If they will be used, surely some people will use them for bad. That is, as Sam said, what ends up sometimes happening. But at the same time, if you consider yourself a force for good, don't you think you have the responsibility to use it for good in that case? Right? If it can be used for bad, you have the utmost responsibility to make sure it's being used for good by at least one person, even if that one person is only you. Right? That's the role I believe we as a community are supposed to play. Like we're supposed to be the good guys, right? The people that share love instead of try to make more of the bad. Yes, yes, yes. I never considered that, Sam, but it's on brand with the America. Gene editing. This is why I talk about policing, gene editing for fatal abnormalities, for addictive personalities, that sort of thing that changes the course of a person's life. Yeah, literally. Literally changes the course of a person's life. But again, is that going to be better for them? Right? How do we take that responsibility or not? I'm not saying I'm the one that's going to be, setting the rules. I don't think I'm capable of that. I'm just bringing this conversation into our minds because, again, we need to understand. There is some curse of understanding that comes with this whole fractal. Selective editing out certain traits on an ideological basis of how anyone experiences superior to the other is where things get fucked up. Yeah, fortunately, we can all agree, having good eyesight is not a genetic or like a eugenics thing, right? I want good eyesight. Yes, you want good eyesight? Good. I want good hearing. I want to be able to taste food well and enjoy my food. I want to have a strong and capable body, right? I want it to be able to move. I want it to be able to jump. I want to be able to dance. I want to be able to run, right? Like that's where gene editing lies for me, is in making this life experience a little bit easier on us instead of being so rough sometimes. What happens when we try to edit out your autism because it isn't a desired trait for people making the decisions? Autism, I don't think is a thing you can edit out. Maybe we'll see. Let's see what ends up happening, bro. Maybe an unautistic version of me would be even more capable of helping people, right? Maybe I edit out my autism and I 10x my ability to serve humanity, right? So then again, I have the responsibility to edit my genes. No. Is that the question? No. Would it be upset if you weren't any more autistic kids if those embryos started getting edited in the womb? Yes, Sam, it would deeply hurt me. Now remember, there's levels of autism, obviously, and let's assume we're talking about functionality in life. Exactly, Doc Dad. I have friends who have children on the autistic spectrum, and I do consider myself on the autistic spectrum, but that are so autistic that they are nonverbal, that they do not communicate, right? And I used to not communicate that much, and I realized that communication is something that people value. So I decided to get really good at it. And I got artistically obsessive about it to the point, right? So there are degrees of extremes, unfortunately, with these things. And some extremes are not fun to be in, right? The extremes can be very uncomfortable, unfortunately. The problem is that society tries to beat those traits out of us and makes us fit the mold. Exactly, bro. It's already happening. You know, maybe with gene editing, at least you won't be expected to perform. At least you won't be a fish being, asked to climb a tree kind of vibe. However, if you're given the ability to be raised in a certain environment and educated in a similar manner, you won't have the baggage that my wife and I gained after 30 years of abuse. Yeah, I get you, bro. Unfortunately, even those who are being raised in correct environments have a lot of baggage as well, bro. Now, if we're talking people, we are completely unable to work or live or experience the ability to take care of oneself. Yeah, I'm okay with editing. Here's the big problem. What if editing out the genes makes the heavy cases better, also gets rid of us that are just different? I don't know how I feel about that. It's a very complex thing, Duck Dad. Fortunately, and I feel like this should be said. Fortunately, there are billions of us. And some people will, and some people won't. And some people's children will, and some people's children won't. And some of the people whose won't, children will, and some of the people who will's, children won't. With the other children whose parents wanted and they willed, right? So there will be genetic variety, right? They won't be able to edit something out of us because there is too many of us, and there is too many different genetic traits, and there's too many different unique individual genetic expressions, right? It's impossible. Like we are talking about fears that are unrealistic. Even if a government superpower tried to, they wouldn't be able to, right? If they can't control what you put in your mouth, how are they going to literally control the expression of your genes, right? That's not how it works, unfortunately. Like if they could control us to that point, they would be, but they can't. The bad outweighs the good in my mind. Talk to a person who have been cured by sickle cell, therapy. Like that's, I feel like the best way to like see the perspective. What if gene editing out the gene that makes heavy? I think I've heard one. I have the tiniest optical nerve of anyone I've likely ever meet. I don't even know what the. Oh, you mentioned. You've mentioned actually. Not only have you mentioned, but I've seen you really have to like work hard with your eyes as well, right, Hoopy? To be able to see properly. How do you feel about that, bro? If over the next 10 years a therapy becomes available that helps you generate more optic nerves, right? And because of those more optic nerves, maybe it helps generate more cones in your eyes as well. You have the ability to see more clearly. Would you edit your genes, Hoopy? It's like a big thing. Yeah, like Hoopy has a hard time seeing. Like at least from what I've seen, the amount of extra effort you have to put in to like read comments when you were streaming on Arpan, like the amount of effort he has to put in, I don't want Hoopy to suffer like that, right? So I would want to have Hoopy's genes edited, but that's my own bias. That is my own bias. No, no. Me over here, wide-eyed at these popping lilies, trying to swipe their hair off my screen and realizing it's a wire on Mel's house. Oh, the top right one. I also saw it, and I wanted to like edge my frame a little bit more. It's like a little solar panel that like runs into the house where we can like charge some of our lights, for load shedding. I thought my screen was cracked, and I was so angry. Are you pretty blind? Do you wear glasses? Let's see if he lets us know. He does wear glasses too, I do believe. I've seen him wear glasses at least. Let's see what card we'll pull today. To have shitty eyes, and hell yes, I would. Give me that better life science. My brain hurts, existing hurts, and I could keep taking pills and therapies, or I could live unburdened. Blue, let's see. This is the card. There's a lot of blue there. Like the backdrop is completely blue. Awakening. Energetic upgrades. Yossi! Woo! You! Literally, what I was talking about today. Painstakingly being like, yes, of course we're going to upgrade our energies. Of course. Of course. Your eyes is a form of energy. Your muscles is a form of energy, right? Your ability to extract food, extract the energy from food is a type of energy. Awakening, energetic upgrades. I do believe in energetic upgrades. A new way of being, literally a new way of being. Integration. We're going to have to integrate into a new state of being. Man, this is like the card for today's stream topic. I think if I pick blue every time, I'll be good for this deck. Probably. Let's see. Like there's blue. There's blue. Not blue. Blue. Oh yeah, blue is popular. For survivability, I'm into the bifocals soon. Good, bro. I hope they help at least. I hope they make it better, man. Awakening, energetic upgrades. I hope those bifocals give you some energetic upgrade, man. A new way of being, integration. Let's read what it means, shall we? Bruh. There we go. Awaken, awaken. Take the land that won't be taken. Awaken. Awakening. You are going through a period of awakening. Things are changing within you and at many levels. You are starting to remember ancient truths and discovering more and more about who you are and why you incarnated. I incarnated to live, right? And if I need to edit my genes in order to do so, sign me up. I will live. I incarnated to live as an act of love. So I shall live as an act of love for as long as I am capable of doing so. You may find that you are experiencing past life flashbacks, seeing the invisible thread that is woven through all of life, or even feeling Kundalini Shakti rise. So then when you have this energy at the bottom of your spine, rising up your skull, rising up to your skull, through your body and through the base of your spine. The most important thing for this time is not to overthink it. We've been overthinking a lot in today's stream. Did you notice all of the overthinking? And to stay grounded, share your experiences with like souls, with like soul people, while you consciously integrate them. Journal and pay attention to your dreams. You are remembering, and your soul gifts are emerging. During this time of transition and awakening, you may be called to devote yourself to being of service. There are ideas, truths, concepts, books, and creations waiting to be birthed into this world. Stay open to receiving them. Pulling this card may be a sign that you are here to birth one of these creations into the world. Or perhaps you are being called. So while I was reading that line, I was thinking about that thing. Yes, that thing. It wants to be birthed. Pulling this card may be a sign that you are here to birth one of these creations into the world. Or perhaps you're being called to make a shift in your life in order to be of service. Don't think too much about it. Instead, repeat the following work light activation. Hold the card in your heart and say, I resender. I surrender to my awakening. I allow the Shakti energy to rise from the base of my spine. I open myself up to the universe, using me as a way that aligns my mind, body, and spirit. Mind, body, and spirit. None of these are mutually exclusive, right? I'll probably end up paying the spiritual tax for editing my body, and I understand this, right? But I also believe that that is what I'm here to do. That is why I incarnated at this time. That's why I decide to do these streams. It is a means to hopefully the most loving possible end. I hate that I have to keep dabbing in and out. Dadding in and out. Sounds like an excellent conversation. Much love, y'all. Duck Dad stream coming. Good. I ordered seeds and having so much anxiety about it. Do a stream, have the friends there with you, plant them, bro. You'll be so fine, man. Chip, chippity chip, chip. Chip, 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 chip. Chirp, 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 chirp. Chirp, 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 chirp. Chirp, 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 chirp. Chip-a-dip, chirp, chip-a-dip, chirp, chip-a-dip, chip-a-chip, chirp, chip-a-chip, chirp, chirp. Chip-a-chirp, chip-a-chip, chirp, chirp. Chip-a-chip, chirp, chip-a-chip, chirp, 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 chirp. Chip-a-chip, chip-a-chip, chirp. Chip-a-chip, chip-a-chip, chirp. That'll be our perspectives. Before I go out there, I am going to do something sneaky. Thanks for being open, everybody. It means a lot. Thank you, Zano. Thank you, Zano, for having this conversation with me and not just running away. How meaningful is that? Seriously, right? The fact that we can have conversations where we disagree with one another and we can still be in the same space, loving towards each other. I love you, Zano. You're such a cool person, my beloved friend. I hope you know, I didn't challenge you. I wasn't like Zano so and so. I was just challenging the argument, right? That is what we encourage in this stream as well. Challenge the argument, not the person. Because if Zano doesn't want her genes edited, I'm not going to force Zano to edit her genes, right? I'm not challenging her as a person. I'll just challenge her argument. Be like, but why, Zano? Tell me why. Ain't nothing. I'm sorry. What a message of resounding friendship. Yes. This is what friendship is. This is what conversation is supposed to be. This is seriously a skill a lot of people have lost in the world, unfortunately. The ability to sit and have a conversation where people differ and are uncomfortable with their differences, but are willing to still hold the space and love one another regardless of it. That's the way it ought to be. Nods. Yeah, bro. This makes me happy. Love is true. This was such an interesting conversation, so much food for thought. Thank you, Louisiana, for being here for it. I've had this conversation a few times in multiple different ways. But today, we could look at it through the lens of responsibility and understanding, and I feel like that really helped me go really far with it as well. So thank you, everybody. Love you too, Melty. I wish you good luck with your Goku babies. I mean, you'll be seeing my Goku babies, Zano. You'll be Auntie Zano, the crazy artistic auntie, you know, to my Goku babies. So I'm going to get off the hook. You're going to have to deal with my Goku babies. They're going to be flying around your apartment. You're going to lose your mind because you can't control them. Freaking Goku babies. That sounds pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie. I do want to have Gohan as a child. My kid's gonna be named Elkin though. Elkin and Gohan sound like they can be homies. I sit on me cushion. I turn on me kalimba. Alright. And there we go. We are done with our history of the day. That's a nice boulder. Such a nice boulder. Pippi is so heartily staring at me. That is the best shot. I looked at the other shot for you, friends, but it looks mostly like that. Kind of like overcasty. Okay. Let's finish up our stream for today. Aww. Joe has sent us a Shan message. How blessed are we? Okay. Have the most insightful day, everyone. You're for really realser, so superly, massively, duperly, muchly adored. Mind-boggling, Mr. Meltmore, and all of you, oh so very opulently, inquisitively, sweetly, and considerately, rivetingly, groundedly, unifyingly, open-mindedly, progressively, beautifully, authentically, wholesome, humanimal critter creatures considering the responsibility of understanding. Damn. That might be up there for one of my favorites. Thank you so much for the love, dear friends, for having this conversation, as uncomfortable as some of the points might be. Right? There's a lot of responsibility that comes with understanding, and I appreciate you, friends, for being willing to at least understand my point of viewing things. And maybe through that understanding, learning things about yourself. Love is true. So a little pregnant kitty ran past us for a second. I'll see you again soon. Goodbye, everybody. Until tomorrow. Cheers, cheers.